One lion, 135 people, 9 months of terror that stopped the British Empire in its tracks. This is not a legend, this is not a myth passed down around a campfire. This is one of the most documented animal attacks in history, investigated by scientists, recorded by soldiers, and debated by researchers for over a century. And it happened because of 2 lions that decided humans were prey. The year is 1898. The British Empire is building the Uganda Railway, a massive infrastructure project intended to connect the interior of East Africa to the coast, opening the continent to British trade and colonial expansion. To build this railway, thousands of workers were brought from India, skilled laborers, construction workers, men who had experience building in difficult conditions. They set up camps along the proposed railway route, moving forward as the tracks advanced. One of those camps was at the Tsavo River in what is now Kenya. The bridge over the Tsavo River was a critical engineering challenge, and Colonel J.H. Patterson, a British military engineer with experience in construction and hunting, was assigned to oversee its completion. Patterson arrived expecting to build a bridge. He had no idea he was walking into 9 months that would define the rest of his life. In March 1898, a worker disappeared from the Tsavo camp at night. In the morning, they found what remained of him in the bush: drag marks, blood, evidence of a large predator. They assumed it was an unfortunate encounter, a single lion passing through. It would not happen again. It happened again the next week, and the week after that. 2 male lions had established the railway construction camp as their hunting territory. Not occasionally, systematically. Night after night they entered the camp, dragged workers from their tents, and disappeared into the darkness before anyone could respond. These were not normal lions. Tsavo lions are distinctive. They are maneless, which makes them faster and harder to see in low light. They hunted at night when their night vision gave them a devastating advantage over humans. And they worked as a team. One lion would create a distraction while the other entered from an unexpected angle. The workers named them Ghost and Darkness. No defense worked. The workers built boma, protective fences made from thorny acacia branches around the camp perimeter. The lions broke through them. They built stone walls. The lions found other ways in. Armed guards were posted. The lions came anyway. The fires that most large predators fear, these lions ignored. Workers tried staying in groups. The lions still found individuals to take. They dragged the sick from the hospital tent. They took the camp foreman. They took a superintendent. No rank protected you, no tent protected you, no fire protected you. Within weeks, thousands of workers fled the camp. Construction on the Uganda Railway stopped completely. A project critical to British colonial ambitions in East Africa had been halted by 2 lions. Patterson, the engineer sent to build a bridge, was now spending every night sitting in trees and on platforms, rifle ready, waiting for lions that seemed to know where he was and avoided him deliberately. He described the experience in his memoir, the frustration of hearing screams from the camp while sitting in a tree on the wrong side, unable to help, unable to get a shot. The lions seemed to know. They seemed to be watching him as carefully as he was watching them. 9 months, that is how long it went on. 9 months of workers dying, 9 months of construction halted, 9 months of a man who had come to build a bridge spending every night trying to kill 2 lions. The British newspapers called the Tsavo man-eaters a national scandal. Questions were asked in Parliament. How could 2 lions stop the construction of an imperial railway? Patterson finally killed the first lion in December 1898. After months of failed traps, failed ambushes, and failed night vigils. The camp celebrated with the energy of people who had been living in terror for 9 months. They draped the body of the first lion with garlands. They sang. They lit fires. They allowed themselves to believe it was over. The second lion was still out there. The second lion continued hunting alone. If anything, it seemed more aggressive after its partner was killed. As if it had decided to continue regardless, as if the death of the first had changed nothing. Patterson killed it on December 29, 1898. 3 shots were required. The lion, even mortally wounded, charged Patterson and nearly reached him before falling. And then it was over. The camps refilled within weeks, construction resumed, the bridge was completed, the Uganda Railway continued its advance across East Africa. Patterson's memoir, The Man-Eaters of Tsavo, published in 1907, became one of the most widely read adventure accounts of its era. The lions themselves were sold to the Field Museum in Chicago in 1924, where they remain on display today. If you visit Chicago, you can stand a few feet from the mounted remains of the lions that stopped an empire. How many people did they actually kill? Patterson's count was 135. This number became the historical record, repeated in books, documentaries, and the 1996 film The Ghost and the Darkness. But modern science tells a more complicated story. Researchers at the Field Museum in Chicago analyzed the chemical composition of the lion's bones and hair. The isotopic signatures of human tissue leave detectable chemical traces, and those traces can be measured even a century later. The analysis found evidence of approximately 35 human victims across the two lions, with one lion responsible for significantly more than the other. 35, not 135, Patterson exaggerated, possibly dramatically. But here is the thing. 35 human deaths attributed to two lions over 9 months is still the most documented case of sustained lion predation on humans in recorded history. Even at the corrected number, the Tsavo man-eaters remain historically extraordinary. The record stands, just at a different number than we thought. Why did they do it? Scientists have proposed multiple explanations, and none is definitively proven. The most compelling combines several factors. The Tsavo region had experienced drought and disease that reduced natural prey populations. The lions were hungry. One or both lions may have had dental problems, broken teeth, or abscesses that made hunting fast-moving prey painful and difficult. And the railway camp represented something the lions had not encountered before: hundreds of humans, concentrated in a small area in the dark, with no natural defenses. There's also a darker historical factor. The Tsavo corridor had been a major route for the Arab slave trade for centuries. The route was littered with human remains, people who had died during the forced marches. Lions in the area had been scavenging human remains for generations. The smell and taste of human tissue was not novel to Tsavo lions. When the railway workers arrived, they were entering a territory where lions had long associated humans with food. What does this story tell us? It tells us that individual animals can change history. Two lions stopped a British imperial project for 9 months. The Uganda Railway, which shaped the borders, economies, and demographics of East Africa in ways that persist today, was delayed and transformed by two predators doing what predators do. It tells us that fear is more powerful than weapons. The workers at Tsavo had rifles, they had numbers, they had fire, and they were still defeated not physically but psychologically by 9 months of not knowing when the next attack would come or from which direction or who would be taken. It tells us that we are not always the apex predators we believe ourselves to be. In certain environments in the dark against predators evolved over millions of years to hunt exactly like this, we are prey. We forget that. The Tsavo lions reminded the workers, the engineers, and the entire British Empire. And it tells us that the natural world does not accommodate our plans. The railway cut through lion territory. The lions defended that territory in the only way they knew. 135 or 35 people died because two animals were doing exactly what they were built to do, in a place they had always lived, into which human civilization had inserted itself. The lions were not evil, they were not supernatural. They were not demons, though the terrified workers called them that. They were just lions. Doing what lions do. In a world that was, for a few thousand years before any railway was built, entirely theirs.